Hello and welcome to Celtics Roundtable. Wow, this is it. The bomb has finally dropped. We finally have fireworks, people. We've been waiting years. They have arrived. It is not the 4th of July, but I don't know, it feels like it in Philadelphia for sure. I'm not so sure how the members of the Roundtable feel about it, though. In case you've been living under a rock, the Celtics have just traded the number 1 overall pick in this year's draft for the number 3 pick, and the Lakers pick next year with some protections on it, and it can turn into the Kings pick the following year if the Celtics basically don't like the pick or it's the number 1 overall pick, then Philadelphia would retain it. So with that, this is a huge 180. We've all been gearing up for Markelle Fultz for a long time. I know I have. Been thinking this is the superstar we've been waiting for. See the boys nodding. Let's get right to the reactions. We're going to go around the table right now. We'll start with Matthew Ignal. How are you feeling about this? Do you like it?
No, because I thought Woj first tweeted out a much better deal for the Celtics, thinking that they would get 3 first-round picks, presumably like top 5 or so picks, and it only wound up being 2, including the number 3, as Levy mentioned, and one of the Lakers or Kings picks. But as far as Markelle, obviously the Celtics felt that he was not as good as, I guess, the entire fan base or most scouts thought. Maybe they were turned off by the fact that he won 9 games in college. Maybe they were turned off by his personality or in some way when he came to visit. Maybe they were turned off by him perhaps not shooting too well in the workouts. But ultimately they just determined that he was not a transcendent talent because this is not the hall for a truly transcendent talent. Maybe they had him 3rd on their board. I don't know. Sam?
It does kind of reek of Danny just didn't really feel like that there was much separation, between Markelle, whatever you want to take away from that. I saw somewhere, someone reported that, and I apologize for not remembering who it was, someone said that it was the Celtics backcourt was a decision they made in that. So maybe, it means Danny Ainge does have more designs on, Avery Bradley and Isaiah Thomas going forward, or, maybe even Terry Rozier, who knows? But, Celtics do clear around $1.4 million in cap space with this deal. I do think that a mitigating factor, we should talk about is, the Los Angeles Lakers and what they're coming away. The Lakers have been bad for a long time because they've owed picks to, the Suns and then Philadelphia on a Steve Nash deal and the great point guard swap of a couple of years back. So, but they've also owed a future pick to Orlando during that time, left over from Dwight Howard trade. That was recently nullified by it rolled so far down. The Lakers were so bad for so long. It rolled so far down the line that it ran out. So this was the year they needed to do that. Now the Lakers are going to own their own picks going forward after this one. So, there's no incentive for them next year to tank. They, like there was in years past, they need to, they can get good. They can go test the free agent market. So it maybe is not as much of a slam dunk as some might think that this, Lakers pick will be bad, which is probably why Danny Ainge and the guys built in that back protection that we've, heard about. Anything 5 or lower. I think Mark Murphy of the Herald reporting that they would have an option to go to the Kings with that. To roll it back to that Kings pick. But even then, a Kings pick, now you're talking about a pick 2 years out, and a lot can happen in 2 years.
But still, you think one of those 2 is going to be gold. There's a really good chance at least one of them.
The Kings are terrible. Let's not go crazy here. The Kings are trash, and they're run by terrible management. They have no plans of any kind. They traded away their franchise player. That pick is going to be golden. I want that pick, but I think that pick is way more valuable than the Lakers pick.
The fact that you can't get the number 1 pick out of it might make that true, Levy.
Ultimately, I agree with you guys. I think this says a few very clear things about where the Celtics' brain trust is at right now. Number 1, there is clearly not separation between Markelle and everybody else. And perhaps this is Danny Ainge saying, I was going to take Josh Jackson number 1 anyway, guys, so aren't you glad I got another top 5 pick? That's pretty good. Number 1. Number 2, this is clearly a commitment to Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah Thomas is going to be around now. He's going to be signing a big deal. Unless something weird happens and Lonzo Ball falls to 3, which is not impossible. And then I don't know, maybe we're right back in this backcourt flux situation. But apparently the Lakers have given indications they are indeed going to take Lonzo. But ultimately, I'm excited about this because it's a weird spot, right? The whole world thinks Markelle Fultz is the number 1 overall pick and clearly the number 1 guy. Ainge seems to very much disagree. This is one of those spots where he has to be right. But if he's right, it's a genius move. If he's wrong, it's a little bit of a soul crusher.
I mean,
move.
the man has guts. The man has guts. Like, cojones, as Ben McMahon would say. Yeah, so I mean, it's sort of like, okay, well, what are the Celtics going to do now? Do they want to take Josh Jackson, as most people assume? We don't really know. Maybe they love Lonzo Ball. We don't really know. Maybe this is all to get Jimmy Butler or something over. We have no idea. We don't have any word on this yet. It's all up in the air. Maybe they're happy with any of those three guys. You're right, Levy, that we did learn quite a few things here, but I think it raised just as many questions.
When the San Antonio Spurs had the number 1 overall pick of the draft 20 years ago, and Tim Duncan was the consensus number 1, Greg Popovich was asked a week before the draft, what would it take for you to trade this pick? And he said a meteor would have to hit the earth. So, there was no way he was trading Tim Duncan because he was that sure. That level of certainty was there, and obviously he was right? Clearly that is not the case here, and it comes down to, do you trust Danny Ainge or not? I think he's got an incredible track record.
Technically, I tweeted this out, and I stand by this take. Technically, just on paper, this actually is very good value in this deal for the Celtics. I just instinctally in my gut hate it because my large son Markelle is now not going to be on the team, and there's so many emotional things. I can't read this like a robot. The 76ers are in the division. We're going to have to see Markelle 4 times a year for at least the next 4 years. If he's good, that's really going to hurt. And if it makes the Sixers good, that's really going to hurt for going forward. We didn't trade him out of the conference. We didn't even trade him out of the division. We didn't even trade him to a team that is on a different timeline. We traded him to a team that is also on the same pick hoarding, future, space cars driving around 2030 finals timeline that we are on. The value is ultimately more important, but that's also got to be part of the equation. And, what that's going to be like. If Markelle Fultz it does end up being a top 5 or top 10 player in the NBA, that's really going to hurt for the next decade or so. It's the brutality of the lottery, and that 25%, the best chance you can ever have to get the number 1 pick is 25% chance, and they got it. But I guess now with that protection, I guess that's good that it's only 25% chance.
Hey, Matthew, something that really strikes me as strange about this is the timing of it. Why is this trade happening now? If you're the Celtics, why wouldn't you wait till the very last second and then agree to this deal as your last-ditch resort? If they know the Sixers are willing to do this, maybe someone will come up. Maybe Anthony Davis will become available. Maybe someone else will become available. Maybe the Sixers will pony up a little bit more. Why are they agreeing right now?
Yeah, you're right. This timing is really weird. I thought that the Celtics might be able to get that 3rd pick out of the Sixers, and credit to them. They may have held the line right there. So, if the Celtics were... They must have not thought that they really had the opportunity to get more at the draft. So, why was it done so early? Possible reasons. To get Lonzo and Josh Jackson, who had previously refused workouts for the Celtics, into ball. It's a little bit crazy that this has to do with workouts. I guess there's a debate about how much workouts matter. But we heard that at least that Danny Ainge really valued the workouts of Jaylen Brown and Terry Rozier. Those were key factors in the Celtics drafting them. Maybe. I don't know. Or they want time to make, another trade by the draft. There's so many possibilities.
Josh Jackson, really a massive, super high motor type guy. Markelle Fultz, not so much, more the James Harden type. And that thing may have really, that's a big thing for Ainge. I remember back in the day when the Celtics were terrible, and he would come on, with Mike and Tommy and say, you know what, I just thought they're out there and they're competing. These guys are trying, they're competing. And that's something you really, if you watch the film of Markelle, you're going to find times when he's really not doing that, right? And I would give him the benefit of the doubt. Don't get me wrong. He's 19 years old. He's got a lot of time, and he's got Brad Stevens, in theory, to teach him how to get that together. But apparently, Ainge doesn't think that's something that's, can be taught, or doesn't believe that Markelle's got it in him. I don't know. It's surprising. This whole thing is really surprising. I was sure, even today, with all the rumors, guys, that ultimately the Celtics were going to just end up taking Fultz because the Sixers weren't going to give them everything. But it turns out the Celtics didn't need everything. I guess they just didn't like Fultz enough.
I don't know if I totally agree that it had to be Isaiah or Markelle. I mean, in the long run, definitely, but I don't know if that would have been as eminent. I think that somebody had to go. I've always said it was Avery Bradley, but this trade clears the cap space for the max free agent, or gets you a lot closer. So now it would be, now you can kind of clear the space with just a trade of Terry Rozier or one of the other guys to get there, instead of having to move out someone like Bradley. So that kind of lines up with keeping just the backcourt that they have with Marcus Smart and some of these other guys. So I mean, I guess Ainge does believe in these guys. I kind of thought they would try to sort of balance the projections like a little bit more, because those three main backcourt guys they have in Smart, Bradley, and Thomas are all about to get really expensive at the end of next year, all at the same time. And you're going to need to make those decisions. It would have been smart to get out in front of them, but I don't know. Maybe they still take a point guard. Maybe we're talking about De'Aaron Fox or Lonzo, or Lonzo, yeah, or maybe even Dennis Smith Jr. apparently was in for workouts, which, all right, sure, why not? I guess I think maybe I hope the plan is to maybe sort of see what maybe start calling the Kings a little bit, the double trade back, see how badly they want Fox, and if 5 and 10 is in play, I don't know, maybe. But I would be disappointed if they, were amassing a larger haul to sort of trade for Jimmy Butler and Paul George. I don't think that should be the move at this point. I don't think it makes a lot of sense. I think at this point you make your picks. Still try and sign, whatever your max free agent's going to be, but, make your picks at this point. All right, Roundtable heads, I want to tell you about HelloFresh, the meal kit delivery service that makes cooking more fun so that you can focus on the whole experience and not just the final plate. Each week, HelloFresh creates delicious recipes with step-by-step instructions designed to take about 30 minutes so that everyone, from novices to seasoned home cooks, short on time, can make tasty meals. HelloFresh sources the freshest ingredients, measured to exact quantities needed, so there's no food waste, and employ 2 full-time registered dietitians. That's not 1, but 2 full-time dietitians on staff who review each recipe to ensure that it's nutritionally balanced. They deliver food right to your doorstep in a recyclable, insulated box for free. No packaging, no shipping, for free. And they are now offering light spring meals and have just introduced breakfast options. Now, the loyal listeners of CLNS Media, that is you, will get a very special offer. Get this, because you are a loyal listener of the Boston Celtics Nude Feed. Use the promo code BEAT30 for $30 off your first week at HelloFresh. Again, support Celtics Roundtable and try HelloFresh for free. Simply visit HelloFresh.com and enter the promo code BEAT30. All right, now, back to the Roundtable. GMs can't demand what you don't have. By amassing an even fatter treasure chest, they can demand more from you. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't have it, you don't have it. They'll take it, But now you have it. Now you have more assets. So, you would just be making this trade to give up more, which seems weird. Like, why would that team not just take Markelle Fultz? Why do you need to trade for the extra pick?
No, I'm sure the Bulls would have taken the number 1 overall pick. Right. I have another question, though. Let's say the Celtics do indeed take Josh Jackson, as it seems like the tea leaves are currently looking. Okay, Follow along with me here for a second. Jaylen Brown, Josh Jackson, Jay Crowder, Gordon Hayward, or Blake Griffin, don't they all kind of play the same position? How is this going to work exactly? We're going to have to trade more guys? I'm very confused. How are we supposed to get Gordon Hayward in here?
Milwaukee Bucks, the new iteration of the Milwaukee Bucks, just long length everywhere, hyper aggressive. I don't know. I love wings, so I think I'm actually kind of on board with the drafting of Josh Jackson and just getting this hyper athletic wing position. I'm of the opinion you can't ever have too many wings. But yeah, the minutes would certainly be interesting. I think that maybe Malik. No one's talking about Malik Monk, by the way. I'm just shooting. I don't know. I'm a Monk guy. I can't put that out there, but I don't know. I would be so surprised if there was a trade.
If it's Monk, then they better be trading back again, because
they will. Come on, of course they will.
Is it too early to speculate who won this trade? Or
definitely.
All right, because I see a lot of Celtics Twitter having like a meltdown right now.
Oh, the ringleader of meltdowns. The point is, that guys are available on the board. There will be a future All-Star on the board when the Celtics pick, but it's just that the chances won't be as good. The value is there. You just gotta trust Danny Ainge, and like you said, there's a really strong chance, like in 2019, where like Ainge is a genius, the number 2 pick, like what everyone's been watching, what Doncic, who's the guy, like his film,
that's right.
And he slipped, and they've gotten him basically for if Jackson is better than Fultz, and they also get him, like that would everyone would a giant freak out. Trader Danny did it again. Oh my God, Colangelo shouldn't have been allowed to trade with Danny, but it's just right now it's very risky, and I understand Celtics fans being on edge because I'm on edge. Feel like I have a more rational view of this than most people, and I'm upset. I don't.
It's definitely a surprising thing. Before we close out, I will remind everyone, when the Brooklyn Nets trade happened, people were very upset about that. People thought Danny Ainge made a huge mistake, and now it's been years, and we all think, oh yeah, it was the most lopsided trade of all time, and so on and so forth. So things can look very differently just a few years down the line, and let's not overreact right now before we have very much information about how good these guys are really going to be. All right, guys, it's been a crazy night here in Celtics history. We're glad we got to share it with you. For Sam and Matt, I'm Jonathan Levy. Thanks for joining us on the Roundtable. Make sure you subscribe, click the like button. Check out our next show. It's coming up very, very soon, still pre-draft. We're going to debate Josh Jackson, Lonzo Ball, and a mystery prospect, most likely. So check us out there. Also, of course, we're on Twitter at CLNS Roundtable. I'm going to say CLNS Roundtable. See you next time on the Roundtable.